all you cinema buffs out there. We got the whole gang together for a new episode called What Would You Watch? We got these wild and crazy kids together and double dare them to talk about 90s action movies. We're putting these all up head to head, and the simple question, what would you rather watch? And we're going to decide who is the king, the number one contender to go against our mystery champion of the greatest 90s action movie of all time. Yeah. So stick around to the end. We'll see these two go head to head and declare what is the best 90s action movie of all time. We're going to get the gang's vote and decide which movie is better, which one would we rather watch until we have our champion. So let's just start off with the first one. I think it's kind of obvious, guys. Number 1 seed, Jurassic Park, against number 16, The Long Kiss Goodnight. I mean, it's Jurassic Park, right? I mean,
yeah, it's Jurassic Park. I don't know how you have the 90s action movie discussion without Jurassic Park.
All right, then we'll go to the next bracket. Number 8 versus number 9. This is kind of a Sophie's choice for me personally.
Ooh, yeah.
The Rock versus True Lies. Nate, where are you going? The Rock or True Lies?
I gotta go True Lies. I do. Yeah, I do love The Rock, but True Lies is just a better movie to me. I just would rather watch it over The Rock.
Aaron, where are we going? Rock or True Lies?
I mean, you do have it. True Lies is a better movie.
All right, moving on to number 4 seeded Leon, the Professional, versus the 13th seed Die Hard with a Vengeance.
I gotta go Leon, the Professional. That's such a formative movie for me. That's such a opening up of like what's possible to shoot. I think that's just an incredible performance too. I mean, from a very young person.
Yeah.
That's a movie that really sticks with me, and I don't think gets thought of enough.
You know, for this one, I'm going with Die Hard 3. I mean, Die Hard 3 is just so fun to me. It's my second favorite in the series, obviously, from the first, and it's just like, it's so nonstop. I remember loving it. I do love The Professional, of course, but Die Hard 3 is just, I'd rather watch that.
Yeah. All right, so I guess it comes down to me. I'm going to go with Leon. Okay. Just because it's transcendent of the action genre.
Leon it is.
Do you like Gary Oldman's performance in Leon or in Fifth Element better? What villain do you like better?
Ooh, I'm going to go with Stansfield from Leon as opposed to Zorg.
That's like, Zorg is awesome, though.
I think that's like, there's some subtlety to Zorg, and he's mainly over the top. And there's a lot of subtlety to Stansfield, but there are those good over-the-top moments. So
that is one movie I have seen.
Fifth Element?
Fifth Element.
Yeah.
Once again, just another one that didn't make the cut.
Yeah. All right, now we're moving on to the 5 versus the 12. This is another tough one. We got Face Off versus Independence Day.
They're so different.
Yeah, they are, but they're both completely ridiculous.
You choose first this time.
Okay, that is a tough one. I'm going to go with Face Off. Okay. Just for the 2 male leads, I think, for Cage and
You'd rather watch Face Off over Independence Day. It's tough,
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I could honestly flip a coin, but my gut tells me to go with Face Off. Aaron, what do you got?
Oh, I gotta go Independence Day here. I mean, that's formative filmmaking for me. You know, for all of its flaws, you know, there's some real moments in that. Yeah. You know, it's hopeful. It's a great film.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you played the president's speech, you could, before anything, you could dare me to do anything. Play that speech first. I can probably do that.
Yeah, you'll be inspired.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. So Nate, you're gonna decide Face Off or ID4. Which one's going to the next round?
I'm with CC on this one. I gotta go ID4.
All right, so now it's the 6th seed Speed versus the 11th seed Air Force One. Nate, start us off. What are you picking?
I mean, Speed, hands down, Speed. Speed's amazing.
Oh, Speed.
Hands down, Speed.
That's not one. That one is not close.
We're going now to 3 versus 14. This is tough again. The Fugitive, number 3 seed versus number 14 seed Point Break.
This is like the hardest so far.
That one's really tough because I do think that Point Break is required viewing. I mean, you do have to have seen this film, but I have to pick The Fugitive.
For me, this comes down to an acting duo. What would I rather have more of? Reeves and Swayze? Or Ford and Tommy Lee Jones?
Like,
that's tough.
That is a tough choice.
The speech of like every outhouse, doghouse, you know, like
yeah, but at the same time, you know, just there's so many great lines from
Point Break. Yeah. Utah, give it 2. You know, just all the great quotable stuff. I'm going to leave the decision to Nate because I'm going to pick Point Break.
So Nate, what's it going to be? Fugitive or Point Break?
Oh, God, this one's so tough. I'm gonna go The Fugitive as well.
So the Fugitive moves on, and now the toughest of the first round, in my opinion. Number 7, Total Recall versus number 10, Desperado. Yeah.
I would say Desperado.
I told
It's a
you.
great Eagles song. No, it's not.
No, it's not. That's my song, really. No, it's not going to be our song.
Okay.
Um,
Cece, what are you picking? Total Recall or Desperado? I'll let you make this tough choice first.
that is so tough because, what do I think is a better film? Desperado. What do I think is a better 90s action movie? Man, Total Recall has it all.
It has it all.
There's things that you see in Total Recall that you didn't know were possible.
Yeah.
It's a mind bender. It plays games with chronology. For a 90s action movie, I think I do have to go with Total Recall. If you had El Mariachi, I may have gone with that.
Nate, Total Recall, Desperado.
Yeah. Get your ass to Maz. I gotta go Total Recall as well. It's just the special effects alone. I just love watching that movie. It's a feast. It's great.
Number 2 seed, The Matrix, versus number 15 seed, Rush Hour. Anybody picking the underdog? Anybody going Rush Hour?
No.
Over the Matrix? Yeah,
No.
Nobody's going Rush Hour over Matrix.
Buffs. All right, so after much deliberation of the first round, we're now down to the field of 8, and this is only going to get tougher from here on out, guys. And here's a tough one right off the bat. Number 1 seed, Jurassic Park, versus number 9 seed, True Lies. I'll go first. I'll go first. No, I'll go first. I'll go first.
I want to hear your reason behind this.
As much as I love True Lies, Jurassic Park is the movie that made me love movies. I wouldn't have wanted to make movies if I didn't love movies in the first place, and Jurassic Park is the one that made me love movies. So I have to go with Jurassic Park. Nate, Jurassic Park or True Lies, what would you watch?
I would watch Jurassic Park.
All right, moving on. Now we're going to the second round. 4 seed Leon versus the 12 seed Independence Day.
We're talking about the fate of one girl versus the fate of the entire world. What are you picking, Leon?
I think that it's important to break it down that way, and that's sort of the question that we're asking here is like, what defines the 90s? And is it the intimate tale of one individual, or is it the biggest tale ever of the whole earth? And to me, 90s action movies are about scale. They're about being ridiculous. Gotta go
Independence Day?
Yep.
Nate,
Yeah,
can
I
you
can't-
second the opinion?
Yeah, I can't deny that reasoning, especially because we're talking about 90s action, and I don't pin Leon as an action movie right off the bat.
So Independence Day still moves on. And now we're on to the next competition, Speed versus The Fugitive.
This is getting tougher with each pick. Nate, how about you start us off this time?
Okay. Yeah, that's super tough. I think that I'm gonna go for, once again, what would I watch? 90s action movies. I'm going Speed. You got a sweet spot for Fugitive, though.
I really do. I'm gonna go Fugitive here.
I 100% agree with everything you just said. But in the words of Dennis Hopper from Speed, don't fuck with daddy.
Speed takes it. So now here we are, down to the last competition of the second round. Total Recall versus The Matrix. 2 big sci-fi action movies.
Matrix, Total Recall, what would you watch?
I think it's funny how a lot of our breakdowns here have a lot of similarities. Speed and The Fugitive are kind of similar in a certain sense.
Yeah.
And the same with Total Recall and Matrix. I think with these two, I'm probably going to say, if you wanted to split this into like early and late 90s, it would be maybe an easier question, I think everything that Total Recall sort of set out to do, in a certain sense, The Matrix perfected. I have to go with The Matrix.
Oh, man. This is a tough choice.
Yeah.
Because Total Recall has Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, I'm not going to listen to any argument from anyone about a bigger, better action star in the history of film than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But Matrix has gunplay, it has kung fu, it's got explosions, and The Matrix, although there's stuff in Total Recall that we had never seen before, The Matrix had stuff that we'd never seen before and was endlessly copied, parodied, ripped off. I think it is the bigger impact. So I'm going to go with The Matrix. Is that a clean sweep for Matrix then?
Yeah, I'll solidify that The Matrix should be my choice as well. I agree with you on movie special effects will never be the same because of The Matrix.
Buffs. All right, guys. So here we are. We're down to the final four, the nitty gritty. If it wasn't tough enough in the second round, it only gets worse from here on out.
Yeah.
So here we go. 2 sci-fi action blockbuster juggernauts, like influential movies. But what would you watch, Nate? Jurassic Park or Independence Day?
It's funny. I saw them both 3 times in the theater.
You only stood up and saluted one.
I always.
But yes, you saw both.
And I closed my eyes every time the goat's leg fell on the window. I just couldn't watch as a kid. I thought it was so scary.
Yeah, man.
I'm going Jurassic Park. I gotta go Jurassic Park. I just have too much love for that movie.
Aaron, 2018, Aaron.
2018 Aaron.
What are we picking? Jurassic Park or Independence Day?
And again, just to be clear, the question is, what would I watch?
Right.
Yes.
What's the better movie?
You just got to pick between the two. What would you watch?
It's Independence Day for me. It's
Wow.
Independence Day because that's what I want from my 90s action film is I want all of the bigness of it. I want the largesse. I want the ridiculous plot, but I also want a good bit of humor in there. And while Jeff Goldblum absolutely hit some hilarious moments in Jurassic Park, Independence Day for me was just that. Like, I mean, we'd seen him before, but for Will Smith, like, it was like a hilarious action star in a unique predicament that brought a re-understanding of the way that we thought about race in that character, in that genre.
True.
There's a lot about Independence Day that I still go back to, and it's like, that's still entertaining. So I'm going there, and I'm probably going to get voted down here.
Well, we watched.
A good prediction because I love Independence Day, but it's Jurassic Park, man.
Oh, it's just I 100% agree with everything you said, but we're dismissing all of it because Jurassic Park's moving on.
What?
Dono, dude. All right, now
2
last round.
Keanu's.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
yeah,
Keanu do
Keanu. Which Keanu do you prefer? Speed or The Matrix?
I know Kung Fu.
Apparently not Johnny Utah.
CeCe knows Kung Fu. He knows The Matrix.
Go on The Matrix.
Yep.
Totally go on The Matrix.
Matrix.
Buffs. Here we go, guys. The frankly foregone conclusion when I first compiled this bracket.
Yeah.
Who's going to take on the champ? Is it
And
going to
this
be
is-
Jurassic Park or The Matrix?
Yes. This is your classic 1 versus 2 seed.
Aaron. No,
Yes.
no. Nate.
Yeah,
You
okay.
pick. You start.
I start?
Jurassic Park or Matrix?
Okay. Now, for me, Jurassic Park is absolutely amazing, but we're talking about 90s action movies. And although there is action in Jurassic Park, I find it to be more of a thriller / at points horror movie. Like, Jurassic Park has a lot of elements to it. And when it comes to The Matrix, it's just balls to the wall action. 90s revolutionary action. I'm going The Matrix.
All right, well, I'm going to put this decision in CeCe's hands because as much as I love The Matrix, and is it the better action movie? Absolutely. But the question is, what would you watch? I would revisit Jurassic Park for probably the 50th time before revisiting The Matrix for the 49th time. So,
I don't know.
CeCe's going to have to break this tie.
That's tough. I do like the point here of bringing up that we're talking about the 90s. And when I think about the 90s aesthetic, 90s visual aesthetic, which of those films, when I just think about what color is that film, you know, what did the wardrobe look like in that film? And for me, I think you can take Jurassic Park and you could have shot and put out Jurassic Park in the 80s or in the 2000s, and not much would have changed in the way it was colored or the way that the wardrobe was, because it's that classic I'm out on safari wardrobe, that type of thing. I don't place it in the 90s as like that is a definitive 90s action film. I put it in
Matrix.
one of the great films of all time. Now, The Matrix, on the other hand, is so
That is
decade
cyberpunk,
specific.
weird. Yeah.
It- I gotta say that's the 90s action movie. That is the peak.
Yeah.
All right, so The Matrix wins the bracket.
Yeah.
Buffs.
All right, so we narrowed it down after much deliberation and much professional love for all of these movies. We decided that The Matrix is the #1 contender to take down what critic scores, audience scores, and amongst the cinema buffs themselves, what is the definitive best 90s action movie? Can The Matrix take down
T2 Judgment Day.
That's it. We got to crown a champion. After all the love we talked about The Matrix, all the revolutionary things, how influential it was, and just how it redefined the action genre. Is that enough to take down T2? Cece started off. T2, The Matrix. Pick one.
Have you seen Terminator 2?
I have not. I know I'm not
Nope, you
much
got to
help.
handle this
We
one
got
all
some
on your
you
own.
got some homework. Short answer, no. I mean, Terminator 2. And I can even go into what I don't like about James Cameron for a good amount of time. You know, I would think that I would have some bias going into this from that. But man, Terminator 2 is just unbelievably good. It's unbelievably 90s action. And I think that you have to go in that what you were saying before, that say what you will about his politics or anything else. Peak Schwarzenegger as an action film star. I mean, you know, us in the early 90s, and all you had to do was say Schwarzenegger was in it. And there are things in Terminator 2 visual effects wise that still blow my mind. There are moments in that where it's so ridiculous. It's so over the top. You think about the semi chasing him through the viaduct or
trenches,
whatever,
yeah.
and he's on the motorcycle with a shotgun. It's like, this is insane. This is complete insanity. And that's what I want from a 90s action film.
Yeah.
Nate, make your choice.
It's funny it's come down to
T2.
this. Like, which type of machines do I want to take over the world? You know, like that's where we're at here. It's like T2's pre The Matrix. You know, it's like Cybernet. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, The Matrix could very well be a spiritual sequel to T2.
Yeah, exactly. It could just be the start of it. But nothing takes down T2.
No.
I think that you're absolutely right. Like, special effects still hold up, very much like Jurassic Park, but the special effects in T2 still are quite amazing what they achieved. But Arnold, man, he is a machine in this movie. There's no doubt in my mind. Like, even when someone like pats him on the shoulder, you can feel like the steel of who he is in that movie. I gotta go T2. It's absolutely perfect as an action movie.
Yeah.
You can't beat T2.
You
It
just can't. We proved it.
Yes.
And not only is it the best action movie of the 90s, it is probably the best sequel of all time. I mean, that's another thing that
All of these movies, outside of Die Hard with a Vengeance, all of them are originals. They might have launched the franchise. They might have been a great one-off. But T2 was a sequel.
and this is the movie where Sarah Connor became the action icon that she is.
Yeah.
In the first one, she's just, you know,
She's a damsel in
exactly,
distress.
she's
yeah.
the damsel, and you know, Kyle Reese is the hero. But this is the one where it's like, you think of badass women in film, Sarah Connor's up there, and this is the movie that did it.
It's not just the best 90s action movie. For me, it's the greatest action movie ever made.
Buffs.
All right, guys, so that's it for this episode of What Would You Watch? Even though we went through all 16 and declared Matrix the winner, it can't take down the champ, Terminator 2. But we want to know your thoughts. What's your favorite 90s action movie? Is there anything on the bracket that we left out that you felt should have made it? Go ahead, leave a comment down below, and be sure to join us later this year. We're going to be doing this all over again, but with 90s comedies. So please suggest some 90s comedies to put into the bracket. But as always, no matter where you are, who you're with, watch more movies.